Hello everyone, welcome back, welcome back. If you are a first timer here, a new person, a newbie, thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you are a returning customer, if you have been here before, thank you so much for coming back. If you like this content, for those of you that are new, if you like all this content with talking about all these locks, usually Sisterlocks or Microlocks. I do some traditional locks videos also, but most of the time it's Sisterlocks or Microlocks. If you like this, this content, if you are enjoying it, if you are benefiting from it, if you're learning from it, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button so that whenever I put something out, you will know, and also hit the notification bell so that can also notify you. All right, we're gonna get right into this video, y'all. I'm gonna be talking about the quote-unquote cons. I don't even like to call them cons because honestly, I don't even see the cons as cons about getting or having Sisterlocks / Microlocks. So, but I'm going to be talking about things definitely that you need to be considering if you are considering getting Sisterlocks or Microlocks. So the first con that I wanted to talk about is the fact that once you get Sisterlocks or Microlocks in the beginning, really this is going to be mostly in the beginning before your locks mature, you're going to be having to follow a pretty regimented course, a really pretty regimented set of rules, if you will. And some people are better at following rules than others. But what you're going to have to do is big things: no hair products. You cannot use any hair products because all that does is it moisturizes and kind of loosens up the hair so that it's not able to lock, and then all your locks are going to unravel. And then whenever you go back to your loctician, he or she is gonna have to fix all of that, and that's gonna cost you a lot of money. So no hair products, especially moisturizing products. And if you have really dry hair, that could be a problem. That could affect your hair. But I have to say, my hair is pretty dry, and I was pretty good about not using any moisturizing products, and my hair was fine, and my scalp was fine. I really was worried about that in the beginning, where I thought my scalp is gonna be so dry, I can't put any oil on my scalp. Like, how is that gonna work? But my scalp was fine. I didn't have any dryness, no dandruff. Like, that really goes to show that maybe sometimes we do a little too much with our hair. Like, our scalp can figure it out on its own. You don't have to be oiling your scalp a lot. And that's not to say that everybody's like that, because some of us have really dry scalps that are going to need to be oiled. But really, in the beginning stages of Sisterlocks or Microlocks, you're not really quote unquote allowed to use any products, especially any oils or anything that moisturizes. And so the other thing with that is that if you are a swimmer, or if you like to go into the ocean a lot, that's going to be something that you're really going to have to take into consideration, because you're not really supposed to be submerging your hair in water. And if you're going to, you're going to have to braid and band. And what that is you put your hair in braids and rubber band the ends so that it stays in a static phase and it doesn't move, and so it doesn't unravel, because all the moisture with all the water can cause everything to loosen up and cause everything to unravel. But if you braid and bend, you can protect your hair from that happening. So again, the products, the submerging, pretty regimented. If you're not a rule follower, this might be a little bit. Another con that I wanted to talk about is, of course, the cost. So I don't really see it as a con, but a lot of people, this can really be cost prohibitive for a lot of people, just because how are you going to get in the beginning, when you're starting them? Sisterlocks a little bit more than Microlocks, or Sisterlocks are, I think, tend to be a little bit more expensive than Microlocks. You're gonna have to come up with thousands of dollars, and when I say thousands of dollars, hopefully not more than $3,000 for your installation. And I actually have a video on what my hair cost when I had it installed, and then what my maintenance also costs, and I'll link it at the end of this video. But you're gonna have to come up with a pretty large sum of money in the beginning, and then of course with the maintenance, and the maintenance is usually range from like $100 to $300, and this is every 4 to 8 weeks or so. So if you kind of do your math, you can try to figure out how much this is going to be costing you in the long run. And don't forget also that every year, and I've heard this a lot also with other lock sisters, that every year the loctician kind of increases the price on the retightening, so that's also something to think about. So yeah, the costs can be pretty intimidating, and if this is not something that you're ready to, shelling out all this money at this time, that might be something that you need to think about before you go and invest the big installation money. Just think about also the maintenance money that you're going to need. So that's definitely a con, and definitely something to think about. The cost for me, even though yes, I had to shell out a good amount of money in the beginning, and I'm paying $130 every 6 weeks to have my roots retightened. To me, the hair freedom that it affords me is priceless. It's completely worth it to me. The way that I can just up and go whenever I want to, I can't put a price on that. And what I'm paying right now, I would probably pay double that at this point, because I feel like it's affording me so much hair freedom. Another con that I wanted to talk about is the fact there is something in the beginning called the ugly stage. Now, I don't like to look at it as that. I don't like to call it the ugly stage. I like to call it the less desirable stage, but there's definitely a stage in the beginning, and I'll post a picture of my quote-unquote ugly stage up there so you can see. But in the beginning, your locks are going to be, depending on the texture of your hair also, but most of us, your locks are going to be spaced really far apart. You're going to look really scalpy. Your scalp is going to be exposed, and then you're going to have these thin locks kind of coming through, and it's kind of like, a lot of people liken it to a plucked chicken look, where it just looks like your hair is kind of all over the place, your scalp is exposed, and a lot of ladies just don't like that. And so there is definitely that stage, but what happens is as your hair grows and matures, your locks thicken, and then hopefully your grid or your scalp becomes less and less visible. And mine has definitely gotten that, but I also have low density locks, and so I don't have like a big full head of locks. I have more so longer locks, lengthy locks, but definitely not big. But I'm okay with it. This is my hair. It's what my hair is doing, what it's doing. But definitely there's going to be that stage where you're just not feeling it. And whenever you hear trust the process, that's what that means, is because you need to trust that the process is going to take you through that ugly stage, and take you through the stage where you're just loving life and you just love your locks, and you just cannot have a bad hair day. Quick caveat though to say that even though you might have an ugly stage, there are things that you can do. I know tons of lock sisters that put braids in their hair, that you can still put wigs on top of your hair or weaves on your hair. So there's things that you can do to kind of get you through that ugly stage. I mean, your loctician is probably going to tell you not to do those things, because the least manipulation in that beginning, in those beginning stages, the better. And so your loctician is probably going to tell you to try to avoid doing all those things, but it is possible to do things to kind of help you get through that stage. The next one that I wanted to talk about is that in terms of the maintenance, you're kind of like a slave to somebody else. If you're not somebody that can do your hair yourself, as I am. I think that maybe down the road I'm going to learn how to self-retighten, just to save me some more money. But if you are like me, who I have to go to my loctician to have her do my maintenance, it's kind of like, you're dependent, you're told, and with any kind of hair, any kind of hairstyle that you get, you're dependent on going to somebody. But this is a more permanent type of hairstyle, and so just to think that these things are on your locks are on your head permanently, and you are kind of a slave to somebody else's availability, schedule, and all things like that. Can be a little bit daunting, a little bit scary for certain people, and they don't want to give somebody else the control. But if you ever come to that point, there's always the option to learn how to maintain it yourself. And that also can be a daunting task, because I have over 400 locks. Like, I don't even know how I would do it. to retighten 400 of these, it takes my loctician like 3 hours. Like, how long is it going to take me? Much longer than that probably. But yeah, so that's definitely something to think about. You definitely should make sure that you do your research and look in your area to find out who your locticians are, who is around to be able to go to. If, let's say, for some reason one falls through, just make sure you have a backup loctician. But if you go to the Sisterlock website, there's definitely they do it by location, and so you can put in your location and find all of the Sisterlock locticians that are in your area. If you do any search on Instagram or YouTube or TikTok, I believe you can find Microlock, the technicians, also easily. And just make sure that you do your due diligence and make sure that it's legitimate practice, because there are tons of scammers out there. Be very, very, very careful about that, because people are looking to scam you. Just make sure that you vet that place. If you try to go to like a physical place and not just kind of exchange messages with people online. If there's make sure that they have like a store or a salon or an establishment or something, and make sure you go to that place physically before you shell out any money, because there are lots of scammers out there. So finding a loctician can be hard, but like I said, if you look on the website, you do any search, you Google any of this, you'll be able to find people, locticians, Sisterlocks and Microlocks that can maintain your locks for you. Just make sure that you have a few in your area, so that if one falls through, you've got a backup. Maybe you even have 2 backups. So make sure that you're able to do that. And again, make sure you go to an establishment before you shell out any money, because there are lots of scammers are out there trying to take your money. The last con that I wanted to talk about is the fact that getting Sisterlocks or Microlocks can be very time consuming. In the beginning, for sure, my installation was about 19 hours. Like, the first day was probably 15 hours, and then the second day was about 4 hours. So that was a huge chunk of my day, day and a half. But that's the only time that you have to sit there for that long. So you can kind of say that's kind of a one-time thing. But then when you go for your retightenings, depending on your loctician, in the beginning, my loctician was new also, and so she was taking like 5 hours for my maintenance for my retightenings. But now it's taken her like 2.5 to 3 hours. So I'm in and out pretty quickly. But if your loctician is not as fast, you could be sitting there for hours. And if you're not somebody that can sit for hours, that's definitely something that to consider before you get locks, because this is something you're going to have to do every 4 to 8 weeks or so to make sure that your roots and your locks stay healthy. And that's really it. Those are all the cons I could come up with. I am definitely like pro locks. I think the locks have like changed how I kind of see my hair, how I see my natural hair. It's definitely helped me to like kind of navigate just life. I know this is deep, but it just like I don't have to worry about my hair, and so that frees me up to do a lot of other things that I need to be doing right now. So I just love my locks, and but I just definitely wanted to make sure that because there's good and bad sides to everything, right? So I wanted to make sure that I made sure that you guys, I told you guys all the cons or all the kind of not so great things about locks that I had discovered. But thank you so much for hanging out and watching this video. Again, like, subscribe, share this content with whoever it is that you think would benefit from it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Okay.